Welcome to the Conflict Zone, a channel dedicated to informing about major conflict points around the world. In this video, we discuss a recent statement by Volodymyr Zelensky, who claimed that Ukraine's operations in Kursk have proven that all Russian threats are nothing more than bluffs. Zelensky urged the West not to fear enabling Ukraine to strike Russia with all available weapons. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest news. When Vladimir Putin launched the invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022, his goal was clear: to demonstrate overwhelming offensive power, represented by hundreds of ballistic and cruise missiles hitting and destroying Ukrainian air bases, radars and command centers, along with nearly 200,000 troops attacking from the north, northeast, east and south. Putin believed that with such force, he could achieve his strategic objectives in a matter of days or weeks, while crushing the Ukrainian people's will to resist. However, within weeks, it became evident to Putin that his war was not going according to plan. He was forced to adapt, including the withdrawal of 40,000 Russian troops from northern Ukraine after they failed to encircle and capture Kyiv. This allowed Putin to refocus on more achievable goals, such as taking full control of Donbass and consolidating Russian control over southern Ukraine, including the Sea of Azov. In April 2022, as the war entered its second month, Western allies led by the United States and the United Kingdom began to provide extensive defensive support to Ukraine, particularly in the form of portable anti-tank weapons, essential for halting the massive Russian armored forces Putin was deploying. It became clear to Putin that not only had he failed to break the Ukrainian spirit, but he had also drawn the industrial and logistical might of the United States and some NATO countries into the conflict. These allies gradually supplied Ukraine with increasingly lethal and advanced weapons. Faced with this situation, Putin and top members of his regime, like former President Dmitry Medvedev, escalated their threats. Medvedev took charge of nuclear threats, making over 30 such warnings since the war began, targeting both Ukraine and Western countries, like the United States and the UK. Putin, meanwhile, issued more subtle yet equally aggressive threats, including the infamous red lines that, if crossed, would supposedly trigger devastating Russian responses, including nuclear strikes, as Medvedev warned. One of the first red lines was drawn around the delivery of HIMARS, a multiple rocket launcher system with high precision and a range of up to 90 kilometers. The delivery of these systems to Ukraine began in June and July 2022, prompting furious reactions from Russia, which accused the West of crossing a dangerous red line. Yet, as we know, the Russians continued their usual invasion tactics, terrible as they were, without introducing any new, more devastating weapons or strategies. Another significant red line involved the supply of long-range air defenses to Ukraine. Initially, Ukraine's allies limited their support to short-range systems like manpads, individual portable launchers, effective against small aircraft but useless against high-altitude bombers, ballistic missiles, and planes flying at great altitudes. As a result, Russia adjusted its strategy, prioritizing high-altitude airstrikes and missile attacks that destroyed much of Ukraine's electrical and heating infrastructure during the winter of 2022-2023. But that began to change in early 2023, when Ukraine received its first long-range air defenses, including the Patriot system, capable of intercepting Putin's hypersonic ballistic missiles. Once again, this red line was crossed, and yet Russia did nothing of what it had threatened. Putin also set a red line against the supply of Western heavy tanks to Ukraine, stating that if tanks like the American Abrams, British Challenger 2, and German Leopard 2 were delivered, it would confirm NATO's direct involvement in the war, giving Russia the right to target NATO member states. However, as we know, these tanks have arrived and are actively used, and the red line was crossed without Russia taking any of the drastic actions it had threatened. An especially significant red line was drawn around the idea of attacking Crimea. According to the Kremlin, Crimea, which was illegally annexed by Russia in 2014, is full Russian territory, and any attack on it would be seen as a direct attack on Russia, justifying a stronger and more lethal response. However, Crimea and the critical bridge connecting it to Russia have been repeatedly attacked, with the bridge being partially destroyed and closed to road and rail traffic for several months. Even the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea Fleet in Crimea was destroyed in a precision missile strike. But again, Russia did nothing in response to these crossed red lines. Lastly, Putin drew a red line around the supply of fighter jets, like the F-16, to Ukraine. According to the Kremlin, if Ukraine used such jets, it would be more proof of the West's direct involvement in the war, giving Russia the right to strike the countries supplying these jets. However, F-16s are already flying and participating in offensive operations in Ukraine. And once again, Russia did not carry out any of its threats. On August 6, 2024, Ukraine crossed what was considered Russia's most important red line by effectively invading Russia itself. Thousands of Ukrainian soldiers invaded Kursk, occupying and controlling around 1.250 square kilometers and over 90 Russian villages and towns. According to Putin and Medvedev, if Russia were invaded, they would have full justification to use nuclear weapons. Yet despite the Ukrainian invasion of Russia, Putin did nothing of what he had threatened. In a recent statement, President Zelensky said that this only confirms what he has been saying for months. Putin's red lines are mere bluffs, and the West should empower Ukraine to use all the weapons it has received to strike Russia where it hurts the most, at the bases from which Russian bombers take off and where soldiers attacking Ukraine are trained and prepared. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with the latest news. See you in the next video.